Story 1. Chronic illness is not visible. I may look fine but still struggle. It is not laziness. Acknowledgement helps. Story 2. It is not fun to be stuck at home or in bed all day. I feel bored and trapped. I am dependent on others for everything. I feel useless and hopeless. I would give anything to go back to work. Story 3. Yes, today I am feeling great. You saw me this way, and then you might think I am lying next time because I cannot do some things. It is a day-by-day process. Story 4. The constant fatigue does not improve regardless of how much sleep you get or do not get. You constantly feel as if you worked a 12-hour day in the sun on only 30 minutes of sleep. It never goes away. Regular tasks require more energy than you have. Story 5. Everything is very difficult. Always. People do not seem to realize this because mine is not visible. So they just assume I have something like a cold. Also, the fact that staying home constantly is not fun or good. Pain relievers are not magic. I'm still in pain, just a little less. Story 6. I get very tired after a certain amount of physical activity. I cannot determine the exact amount, and I only realize it moments before. I am not lazy. I wish every day to return to 2021 and 2022, before my body gave up on me. To be able to go to the gym in the morning for an hour, work for 8 hours, cook a meal, and attend therapy all in one day. But I just cannot. After a day, my muscles feel like jelly, and I feel very weak. Any physical effort leaves me panting with my heart racing. I am so tired. Story 7. I have exhausted every medical resource beyond measure. Asking if I have tried turmeric or peppermint oil is belittling and insulting. I have lost count of how many doctors and medical professionals I have seen for my illness. Please keep your social media education to yourself. Story 8. When you ask me how I am, I lie to protect your feelings. I do not want pity. Each day is different. Sometimes I need a cane. Sometimes I need braces. Some days I do not need aids. You are too young for that problem is not the encouragement you think it is. It is dismissive, interpreted as disbelief of my experience. And for the love of God, do not mention wait till you are my age. Because those are literally the thoughts that keep me up at night if I let them because I already feel your age. Pain and suffering are not a competition. More gently, it is okay to vent to me about your pain and struggles too. It does not matter who has it worse. We all struggle and we all need support. Lastly, do not confront people who have placards or show them hate, even if they look young and healthy. Many disabilities are invisible, and someone already struggling can be one step away from a breakdown. Do not let your self-righteous gatekeeping spiral someone who is probably already battling their own internalized ableism of not being disabled enough, even though every step is pain. Edited to add, thank you for this question. We often feel invisible and sidelined. The biggest compliment to us is seeking to understand our experience. Thank you for seeing and considering us. Story 9. If I am being brief in my replies during a face-to-face conversation, it is not because I do not want to have the conversation. I would say if that were the case. It is because talking for too long hurts my vocal cords. Story 10. I love being invited to places, but when I decline, please understand that the effort it takes for me to get ready to go anywhere is enough to send me back to bed. Story 11. We can do everything right, eat well, do yoga, avoid alcohol, get a full night's sleep, and still have chronic illness. Can happen to anyone at any time. Healthy people like to think they will never get a serious illness as long as they take care of themselves. They may want to blame us and say, you just need to try acupuncture. Believe me, we have tried everything we can to get better. If it is not illegal or cost prohibitive, we have tried it. Story 12. Managing energy and output is important. I might have the energy to do something and still say no because I need that energy for later. Or I know if I do that activity, it could wipe me out, making me feel awful and exhausted. Sometimes I never know, and I am not always willing to take that chance. Story 13. I cannot do the physical task you want me to do. I wish I could, but I cannot. I know it seems simple, but I really cannot. My body will not allow me. If I try, Tomorrow I literally will not be able to get out of bed. I am not being lazy or uncooperative. I cannot. Story 14. Knowing this is how my life is going to be forever is almost as bad as the illness. There is nothing in life to look forward to. Story 15. Yes, the weather really does affect how well my joints work. Atmospheric pressure is a very real thing, and I am not making up being unable to leave my bed just because it may be sunny now. A thunderstorm, tornado, rain, or other severe weather will be coming in, and I am absolutely incapacitated until the weather passes. Story 16. You really do not know what it is like to be me. Instead of getting mad at me, maybe ask if there is something that would make things easier. Story 17. Exercise more isn't going to help me feel better in any way, shape, or form. I gained over 100 pounds when I first got sick and throughout my treatments. Everyone treated me like I was lazy. Story 18. I do not cancel plans because I am unreliable. I cancel plans because I do not get to decide when I am having a bad day or a flare-up. Story 19. Just because I am functioning does not mean I am okay. I am never free from some kind of pain. So when I say I am in pain, I am in severe pain. My 5 out of 10 pain is your 10 out of 10 pain. I am always exhausted. Some days I might be able to push through it better than others. Story 20. Constantly telling me, I hope you feel better soon, get well soon, it will pass, and so on is actually very hurtful. I will never be better, and it will never pass. This is my life. Being reminded that I will always be sick is excruciatingly painful. Story 21. The hypervigilant, constant internal and external monitoring of symptoms is necessary but corrosive to the spirit. It is like a muscle. That muscle gets stronger and more efficient through repeated use, which protects against my immune system trying to harm me. But overuse erodes mental health. Never being able to fully relax that muscle without ending up in the hospital is exhausting. Story 22. I never know how functional my body will be when I wake up, and it is usually dependent on what I did a day or two prior. I put on a smile because I hate the attention, though I am screaming inside. Story 23. You are only temporarily able-bodied. Enjoy it as if it could all disappear tomorrow. Sooner or later, we all become disabled. Story 24. We cannot override biology. Efforting even more will work against us in the long run by borrowing from tomorrow to give to this moment and paying interest. Story 25. It's not that I don't want to work. It's just that for 13 hours of the day, I am alone, struggling. It's not that I am not doing anything with my life. I am. I am breathing, and trust me, asthma makes that aspect unnecessarily hard. There are many challenges. Just because I have accepted that I am ill and am working on it does not mean I let chronic illness control me. It just does, and I am trying to help myself the best I can. Story 26. Every diet and insulin management decision I make, and I make many per day, is a life or death decision. It is exhausting, and I am always scared. Story 27. If I am falling asleep mid-sentence, I am not being intentionally rude. I am not trying to sleep. My body literally cannot stay awake in that moment. My alert and full of energy is your kind of a low-energy day. Sleeping 12 hours is not me sleeping in. It is me getting the bare minimum rest I need to do things like work. Story 28. I am not lazy. Doing even the bare minimum just to get by is exhausting. Sometimes, I have to put something off for another time because I do not have the energy to complete it. Story 29. You are often exhausted and do not always know how you will be feeling. I simply set boundaries, and when I am available, I am present. I ask people to give me some notice, and they know not to randomly drop by unless it is family. Story 30. Every single day is different. Very normal things for you can be completely draining for me. I do not have the same energy that you do and tend to run into energetic walls that come out of nowhere. It is more than just getting tired. It is a complete fault in my system. I process my surroundings differently than you do and am constantly trying to find a balance between living in the world that is built for us and living in the body I was assigned to. Story 31. I am doing everything I am medically advised to do. I do not want or need your helpful suggestions on fixing myself. Story 32. The fatigue from an autoimmune disorder or any other chronic illness is no joke. When I say I'm tired, I don't mean I feel sleepy or have low energy. I mean I am experiencing dizziness, rubbery legs, lack of coordination and balance, full body aches, and cannot focus my vision. Coffee does not help. Willpower is irrelevant. How much I care or do not care about the matter at hand is irrelevant. Phrases like, just try harder. We all get tired. And how can you be tired? It is not like you have children, have too much being asked of you, or worked out are all extremely ignorant and counterproductive. Story 33. It is expensive. Yes, this depends on your country and healthcare system, but largely, even with universal healthcare, and if you are fortunate enough to have extended benefits, there are many unexpected or additional costs that loved ones or friends do not seem to need to account for. Beyond the obvious expenses, all the little things add up, like transportation to appointments and time off work if you are able to work, or a bottle of water if you get caught unexpectedly during a flare. Also, it requires much preparation and planning for things like appointments and unexpected flare-ups. I have many little things in my bag that I bring out when I leave the house just in case. But honestly, there is never a way to prepare for everything. We just do our best. Story 34. I do not have the same time as you. I live like I'm moving underwater. It's hard. It takes more time and more energy. I make my entire day, every day, about surviving with the least amount of pushback from my body. This means it takes an hour to clear my bladder. It takes 3 separate hours of physical therapy a day. A shower needs a helper. My meal preparation is exhausting because I can't eat anything pre-made. Going in public alone is dangerous. Driving is dangerous. Taking a walk is dangerous. I can't be hot, and cold feels like some kind of torture. There is not a single moment in my life when I will not be in pain. It does not go away. I ignore it to the best of my ability. When that doesn't work, I use everything but pills until they are the only thing that gives relief. Even then, I just have to wait it out. I want to eat all the lovely things you make. I cannot. Will not. It isn't worth the risk. I am barely able to feed myself. It's not about you. It's about my body's inability to properly absorb it and the pain that comes from eating anything I'm specifically not allowed to eat. Pain that can throw me into a full flare for months. Stress is as bad as eating bad food. It compounds the symptoms and makes everything more painful. I want to get up and do things. I will never be able to. I will never be able to survive on my own. I haven't worked long enough for Social Security to make a dent in my bills. If there is a breakdown in the medicine line, I will die. I struggle deeply with the resentment it brings. I don't know what caused it. They haven't researched it well yet. Story 35. I have complex regional pain syndrome, which is a chronic nerve pain disorder. I wish people understood the absolute agony it causes, both in pain and in the loss you experience in your daily life. I can no longer just get up and do the normal things I used to do without grabbing my crutches. I cannot walk and hold anything at the same time. I tire easily from using the crutches and being in constant pain. The rest of my body is now starting to ache and have issues because it is compensating for the injured leg. It is depressing and there is no cure, so it is for the most part a lifelong struggle. Customers at work constantly ask what happened and say they cannot believe I am still on the crutches. There is always someone who has it worse than me, so I remind myself to be grateful for that, but it does get to me at times. Story 36. Hidradenitis suppurativa sufferer. It hurts, and I am exhausted mentally and physically. I may be fine right now, but I might not be later. It is embarrassing, and I sometimes do not feel human. Story 37. We are not making it up. What will kill me is not actually my chronic illness. It is society's reaction to my chronic illness. Story 38. When I say I am tired, I am not tired in the sense that I am a bit sleepy. I am tired in the sense that I am completely exhausted because simply existing requires a lot of energy. Story 39. My best friend accepts my conditions for what they are and how they affect me. His girlfriend, however, thinks it is unfair that she has to work Monday through Friday and I do not, and treats me with contempt because of it. I wish she would come down from her high horse and treat me with the kindness and respect I show her. Story 40. When I get short or irritated, sometimes outright mean, it is not about you or anything you did. I am in pain or have not slept more than 4 hours, sometimes less. I am frustrated that yesterday I was on top of the world and today I can barely get out of bed. I have no idea when I will feel better again. At one point, a muscle in my thigh spasmed for 2 years straight without anything helping until I was finally taken seriously and given a high dose of muscle relaxers. That is probably the worst part, being born with spina bifida and still not being taken seriously. Sometimes, a doctor even tells me they think I am exaggerating, lying, or begging for attention. I do not want to take all these medications. I do not want to be in the hospital every few months. I do not want to be in bed all day. I do not want to be grouchy, especially to a child that needs me, yet she seems to understand better than any adult could. Story 41. Okay, what do you want your doctors to know? With the ever-changing nature of day-to-day life, how can I best help all of you? I know this is not an easy question to answer, if I get any responses at all. Also, this is an innocent question. I am in training, so please do not criticize me. Story 42. The gray zone is difficult. Not every spinal cord injury is complete, and not all of us are paralyzed or incapable of walking. My good days do not undo or invalidate my bad days. Having a spirited personality does not undo my injury. That is just my post-traumatic stress disorder. I turned into a cynic, and I know it. Spinal cord damage does not heal very much. I am as lucky to be mobile as I am unlucky to be injured. I cannot predict my body from one minute to the next, but I will never stop doing things when it allows me to. Lastly, like many chronic illnesses, those of us with spinal cord injuries live with them until we die. Thank you, original poster. Story 43. My colon is problematic. When it works, it functions well. When it does not, life is miserable. It does not matter what I eat or drink, if I am facing north during a lunar eclipse, or if I apply patchouli oil to my left big toe. It does what it wants, and it hurts greatly. Story 44. The tiredness. I am exhausted every single day, and trying to explain that to someone who does not understand it is impossible. Story 45. I am probably experiencing a debilitating or distressing symptom right now. You just cannot tell. It takes an extraordinary amount of resilience to keep going. I do not need you to understand. I just need you to stand by me while I tackle it. Sometimes a cup of tea and a hug is honestly helpful. No, I cannot just stop overthinking and expect things to magically get better. There is no quick fix. I know my situation better than you do, so do not patronize me or act like you know best. Please do not invalidate my struggle by telling me it is easy, that I just need to be positive, or that there are people worse off. Maybe I need acknowledgement of the struggle and pain I face. If you have an inkling that someone is going through a hard time, maybe stop reporting them to management because they are not performing at 100% and offer a bit of support instead. Sometimes it might be necessary, but if they are not making errors and are just being slow, then maybe speak to the individual first instead of jumping straight to a complaint. Story 46. All these pills may not cure me, but without them, I will die a slow and even more painful death. You are seeing the version of me that medication can provide. Story 47. I might have appeared to be functioning well during the 2 hours you saw me today, but I only spent a total of 3 hours out of bed. The rest of the time, I was too exhausted to sit upright. Story 48. I wish people would stop downplaying the severity of functionality when it comes to chronic illness. Just because I do not always look sick does not mean I am not disabled. I still struggle a lot. That does not make me or anyone with that condition lazy either. Story 49. My husband has had chronic pain for the last 15 years, from his neck all the way to his knees. Fortunately, all of our friends know he is in pain all the time. In addition to his existing condition, he was diagnosed with esophageal cancer, stage 3. Story 50. When you say to me, must be nice to not have to work, I mean it when I tell you I'd switch places in a heartbeat. No, it's not nice. I can't do most things others can. Making a half batch of cookies knocks me down for a day. Doing anything that involves leaving the house means I'll be in pain for at least 2 days and not feel rested the entire time. It's not fun. It's not convenient. It drives me insane, and the sad part is there is nothing I can do about it but go with the flow and hope I don't injure myself when I collapse in a drop attack. Story 51. Narcolepsy is not when you randomly fall asleep. People who have narcolepsy experience excessive daytime sleepiness that is not fatigue. It feels like being awake for 48 to 72 hours. The falling down is an inaccurate depiction of cataplexy, which is a sudden loss of muscle tone usually triggered by strong emotions. People are conscious when this happens, not asleep. Narcolepsy is life-altering and can be debilitating. There is no cure and no adequate treatment. Imagine never getting a good night's rest for the rest of your life. Not just for a week, a month, or a year, but forever. Story 52. Just because I look fine does not mean I am not sick. I have been struggling with endometriosis so much, and I am currently on morphine. When people see me, they say I look okay, and I am very angry because they do not know what I am going through. I can barely walk and function, so I cherish the time I am able to be out. Story 53. Just because I was able to do something one time does not mean I can do it today. Probably last time I pushed myself too far and paid the price for it. I may seem fine to lift the heavy object or be on my feet all day, but I will be in bed all day tomorrow. I am not being lazy by saying I can't do the task. I am trying to protect myself from an injury or flare-up that could last weeks. Story 54. I do not take these medications for fun. I take them to maintain a baseline that reduces the worst pain peaks and provides a constant, manageable level of pain. I do not take opioid medications for fun. I take them because every time I experience a flare-up, the pain becomes overwhelming, and I strongly dislike crying in pain while struggling with extreme exhaustion from only 6 hours of sleep in 3 days. I am not lazy. Excessive mental or physical stimulation wears me out, and I must rest or I will collapse. Story 55. In my experience, most people understand the points mentioned in this thread. It is just incredibly hard for them to put themselves in the shoes of someone with chronic pain without having experienced it. I genuinely hope they never have to. For the curious or those with a loved one who suffers, instead of suggesting tips you saw here and there, start by opening Reddit, type the name of the illness, and begin reading through the dedicated subreddit. Read the shared experiences, the sources that are linked, and so on. People on these subreddits talk about their pain, the things they have tried, what worked, the side effects, their anxieties, and the frustration of not being listened to by their care provider. It will probably open a window into something your loved one may not be willing to share fully, out of fear of burdening you. If you suffer from chronic illness, same advice applies. Story 56. Your perception of my illness is inherently flawed because the only moments you see me are those when I am pushing past my boundaries. Otherwise, you would not see me at all. That does not mean I will always do that on every whim. I will choose my own health over your pleasure or convenience, and that is not because I am difficult, but because I need to be able to live, breathe, and tolerate light. Story 57. I have chronic migraines. I might be fine at the moment, but something small can change that easily. For example, the quick spray of perfume you used this morning or the air freshener in your car can ruin the rest of my day or even my whole week. Things the average person does not think twice about are risky to my well-being. I am not trying to inconvenience you. Story 58. I often wonder how successful I would be if it were not for my anxiety. How great of a man I would be. A better father, a better husband, a better me. I have been affected by it for so long. I have missed out on a lot. Story 59. How difficult it is for me to turn around multiple times because it makes me extremely dizzy and can lead to fainting episodes. I am also very close to having a seizure every time a light flashes when I do not expect or prepare for it. Story 60. On high pain days, I am exhausted and just fall asleep. I pass out whenever and wherever when it reaches that threshold. It has reached the point that I am so used to the fatigue the illness brings that on good days I have insomnia. The level of tiredness I reach naturally does not come close to the all-encompassing exhaustion the pain causes, so I cannot sleep. I have to take some diphenhydramine to knock myself out. I went to a sleep specialist, and he said, "Pain keeps you awake. It does not put you to sleep. You are not special. My sleep schedule is a disaster based on when I pass out and when I wake up. Story 61. My internal energy reserves are much smaller than the average bear's, and when I am out of energy, I am done. No, I am not being lazy. No, I am not slacking off. My need to recharge is far more important to me than whatever your problem is. Story 62. How debilitating chronic pain is and what life is like with extreme fatigue. I used to be able to outwork my boys when they were teenagers and in their early 20s, but today I got only one physical task done and am exhausted. I love to go hiking and backpacking and could do miles on a fire line. Now I am tired just walking a few hundred feet to feed and care for my crew, and I have to take several breaks while doing it. Story 63. You know when you have the stomach bug or the flu? I feel like this every day. It is hard. I am tired. Everything hurts. Story 64. Just because I look okay and move around all right, it does not mean much. It is nothing like having to hype yourself up and do stretches just to walk to the toilet without acting like you are in too much pain. Story 65. No, my diet and lifestyle change is not something I did just to lose weight. No, I do not have cheat days. No, I cannot just go wherever I want to eat. It has to be expertly calculated. Yes, it is serious. Story 66. Please stop inviting me to things you know I cannot do. I know you do not want me to feel left out of the group activities, but inviting me to strenuous physical events that you know I cannot participate in feels really mean. I have to keep turning you down, and I feel almost like it is thrown in my face that my body is keeping me from participating or hanging out. I do not want to alienate people by constantly turning them down, but why do they keep offering events they know I cannot go to? Story 67. I am fatigued, sore, and dry. Every day, I meter out the energy I have so that the next day I am not wiped out. It involves putting drops in my eyes, spray up my nose, and cream on my hands and body. It also means taking pills to ease the pain. No, I do not talk about it all the time because it is boring. Who wants to listen to that every day? It does not mean it is not there, though. Story 68. I do not need someone to diagnose me. I know what is wrong. I have discussed my issues extensively with doctors, and I do not need a miracle crystal or oil to cure me. I appreciate the thought, though. Story 69. You can do everything right to protect your health. You can have good genes and still end up with a debilitating chronic illness that you cannot get rid of no matter how hard you try. No matter what you do, there is no going back to the life you had before. Story 70. As a person with type 1 diabetes and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, the small but significant issue that is often overlooked is the feeling of uselessness when you cannot perform as well as your colleagues because of your condition. You feel guilty for taking a morning off due to high blood sugar and wonder if you will ever get a vacation in the United States or, God forbid, be fired for not being a team player, not fitting the company culture, or other unfounded reasons. Story 71. Just because I am smiling and laughing does not mean I am faking my illness. I am smiling and laughing because I do not want to be miserable. Story 72. A migraine is not a bad headache. A severe headache can be a symptom, but the actual condition is entirely neurological and involves much more. No, we cannot cure it with a glass of water. Story 73. I did not earn or deserve my illness. I was perfectly healthy until I hit puberty and my genetic diseases began. I remember what it is like to be that healthy, so no, I am not faking the flare-up that comes from doing one more chore than usual. I know that to a healthy person it would not make any difference, but I might be put in severe pain for 2 days as my body punishes me. Story 74. A large part of my illness is unseen and very hard to live with. If I tell you I cannot do something, it quite literally means I am physically unable. It has nothing to do with laziness. Story 75. Constantly suggesting solutions, fixes, cures, and talking about how and when you will get better is very painful. It creates pressure to push yourself toward a state of wellness or fitness that might not be possible, and it makes you feel like they do not accept your disabled self. Story 76. I have type 1 diabetes. Most of the time it is quite manageable. Sometimes at 2 a.m., I try to invent new swear words out of frustration. Yes, I have a completely normal diet. Story 77. that I am not lying and that I deserve social support even if you cannot see my illness all the time. Story 78. I sometimes like having someone help me with mundane tasks. It is not that I physically need the help, I need emotional support for it. Story 79. 1. Invisible illnesses are just as serious as those that appear visible. Chronic fatigue is different from the sleepiness caused by staying up too late. Story 80. How much time and energy it takes to do certain things is tiring. I can do some things once but not repetitively over time. Some people think that if you need assistance at work in some way, it means you are completely unable to do something. The truth is that accommodations allow you to do the job regularly. Yes, on vacation I do some things, but less or only once because I cannot repeat them. Sometimes I pay the price if I do too much. Just because I don't look sick or disabled does not mean something is not going on. Story 81. People do not realize how hard I mask. You might think I look fine when I am in the office, wearing 3 layers of makeup to hide the dark rings under my eyes and forcing myself to seem cheerful. But my husband has to help me get dressed. I will be asleep in the car before we have left the car park, and I need to work from home for the next 2 days to regain the energy to do it again. It is isolating too. I put everything I have into keeping my job, so I very rarely have the energy to go out and do things. Friends drift away, and colleagues assume I am aloof because I seem fine but never go out on team nights. Story 82. How the pain in my joints is unceasing and has taken all my hobbies and pastimes away from me, leaving me stuck in a house on my own. Osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis really are not something I would wish on my worst enemy. Story 83. There are many things I know how to do and I want to do them. Even attempting to do so causes me unimaginable pain for days, and I still fail. The frustration of not being able to do simple things is overwhelming. Most people think of us as just lazy. Story 84. Migraines are not just really bad headaches. I can be suffering from a severe migraine while still putting on a relatively nice face at work. I feel like I am dying inside and want to vomit on your shoes. But sure, Susan, I have time for this meeting. Story 85. The unpleasant feeling when you feel people have to adjust to you or cater to you. I may be sick, but that does not mean I am disabled. Story 86. From being a child, wishing they could hear my silent screams saying, "Wait for me, I am trying to catch up," as I was right next to them. Story 87. I want to be fun. I swear. I want to do the fun thing with you. I just cannot. Stop making me sad about it. Story 88. When I get cranky, am just worn out or want to be left alone, it is not them. It is my illness having its effects on me. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.